It is really sad when Olympus has fallen. Here's my movie review, my film review on the movie called Olympus Has Fallen. So, spoiler alert, it starts out with boxing. The president is boxing with his Secret Service people, and when I saw it, I didn't really know anything about the movie. My mother told me to watch it to see what it's like. So I started watching it and I was like, oh no, not another boxing movie. You know how much I hate about boxing. I'd rather see wrestling with Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Something incredible. You smell what I'm cooking. But it starts out with boxing, and that's nice. And they're just kind of playing with each other because they're men, and that's what men do. They fight a little and they like to have fun, and the president wants to be a little tough. I mean, he wants to be as tough as the Secret Service people who protects him all the time. And then they hop into some cars and they're going somewhere, and it's icy outside, and then the car starts to go over the edge because of the ice and they're about to fall, and then the other secret people, the Secret Service other people, they have to come out of their cars and come and try to pull the car off the edge of the cliff before it falls, and the president kind of escapes, but his wife is kind of stuck and the seatbelt won't open, and they try to pull her out, but then the car flips over. It's like a limousine. Limousine car is a bigger, longer car than a normal car, and it falls over, and I think she dies. It's really sad. And one of the Secret Service guys, he's like blamed. So spoiler alerts, one of the Secret Service guys is just like blamed. Maybe it's not really his fault, but he was there, and when something bad like that happens, you get really upset, and that's what the president did. The president got really upset. The president of the United States of America, of the USA, was played by a famous actor who's in other movies in the past, like Thank You for Smoking. He was in that movie, but I can't remember the actor's name. But then it jumps ahead to about 18 months later, and the president is still the president, and the Secret Service guy who was there, he was fired or reassigned, whatever you want to call it. He's not Secret Service anymore, and he's working somewhere else. And you see him again, and he's talking to his wife, and they live their typical life, and he's like, okay, oh dear wife, you know I love you. Oh, we'll hang out tonight. Maybe we'll watch a movie. And first, she was telling him about her day, and she was telling him things about what's happening in her life. Like, oh yeah, and I was hanging out with our friends Billy and John and Cindy last night, and then oh, you know, Cindy was hanging out with Billy, but then Billy is actually her ex, and then her other ex was there, and that was awkward, and then they didn't know what to say to each other because they're, you know, they used to be in a relationship and now they're not, that kind of thing, and then the president, the husband, is like, oh yeah, whatever. No, not the president. We're talking about the Secret Service guys. But then he really was listening, and he's like, you know, I'm listening, but my life is kind of hard, or maybe it wasn't really that hard, but maybe he's still sad about what happened when he couldn't save the day, and he couldn't save the wife of the president, and then he was reassigned, kind of thing, and that kind of bothers him. And then he goes off to work, and his wife goes off to work too, and then you see the president. So it goes to the president, and life is ordinary for him. And then there's a terrorist attack, and everybody's shooting, and then he has to run, and they have to try to get the president safe. And I think they take the president to the bunker, but yeah, there's a bunker place. You may not have heard of it. It's called the bunker, and I think it's kind of like below the White House in Washington, D.C., or somewhere in that area. But there's all these terrorist people, and they have these guns and bazookas, and they're shooting, and the people are dying, and the Secret Service people are dying. And then the one Secret Service guy that I was talking about before that was reassigned, he ends up going there to try to save the day. And spoiler alert, you know that the president is there and he's being like kidnapped, and there's this like Korean people, North Korean people who are doing this. They're they're responsible for the attack, and they have him, they have the president in the bunker, and then you have the other military people in this other place like the Pentagon, and they're trying to figure out how to save the day, and then they talk to the terrorist people and they say, stop this, and the terrorist people from North Korea is like, we have your commander at sea, you know, turn down your bad your not your bad people, your army, you know. Tell them to stop fighting, and especially the people in North Korea. And then the Pentagon people, they try to talk to North Korea too, but North Korea denies any activity or relation to any of that. And then there's more fighting and people dying, and the what do you call it guy, the Secret Service guy, he becomes the star of the movie. Even though he was fired, he comes back and he's shooting people and he's killing the terrorist people left and right. And he has to go save the son of the president. Because you know the wife of the president was already killed 18 months ago. And the Secret Service guy was responsible for that, even though he wasn't totally responsible and he was fired or reassigned. And so the wife of the president's gone, but the son is still around. The son of the president's still around, so he has to go. The Secret Service guy goes and saves the son, and then he's running, and then more terrorist people are going after him. He has to shoot them, and it's kind of like, oh no, a lot of work and very intense. Oh, bizarre, lots of work. But then he ends up saving the day at the end of the movie, and the president is able to escape, and one of the head terrorist people, he's just like has to fight the Secret Service guy, and then he stabs the terrorist person into his face with a knife, and then he's able to walk the president out, and everybody's excited and the crowd goes wild, and that's the end of the movie, and then the president is able to give a motivational speech to the rest of the country, saying, you know, we did not give up, and we don't give up, and we don't negotiate. We don't negotiate with terrorists, and this is not the end of the world, and they have given us a chance to start over, and to start over, and to start doing things better than before, and to prove to the world that we are the best. We are the USA, and we can start going back to how things were, but to rejuvenate our spirit of who we are, and to go back to doing that. We can do it because we are the people of the United States of America, USA, USA, kind of thing. What do you think about that? Is the USA is the best or not? And what do you think about this movie if you've seen it? I really like it. It's pretty intense. It keeps you intense on the edge of your seats, on the edge of your toes, until the very end.